full story. When this question was in the doc, I wrote, I don't think anyone agrees with this. We should probably do Sean Payton giving up play calling or something. And
you want to do a Davis Webb story is what you want to do instead of talk about your quarterback.
Anything but this.
Is Drake taking a step forward or back in year 3?
Well, look, a few years ago, I nailed this situation. When Brock Purdy, coming off the Super Bowl appearance, left the field with the lead.
Yep.
4th in MVP voting.
You did not.
Higher
Crazy
than Trevor's
passer
ever
rating.
been. Crazy passer rating. I said he will be a better quarterback next year, but his stats, he won't be 4th, top 5 MVP.
What evidence do we have that he was a better quarterback?
He fell off a little more than I expected, but I think he's a better quarterback.
I agree.
I'm sure Brock would say, and Kyle Shanahan would say he's a better quarterback today.
I don't know that he would say those
This
things.
is going to be the case with Drake. He's not going to be 2nd in MVP, I don't think. All right? His numbers, will he have a 113 passer rating? Probably not.
Okay.
And I don't think they're going to win as many games. Obviously, the schedule's tougher. But he is going to learn from these playoffs that you've been rightly criticizing him for. I think he's going to learn from that, the struggles in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, be better with it. A 2nd year with Josh McDaniels. The receiving core, I would expect to get bolstered. So I just think everything around him is going to be better. Vrabel obviously is a good coach. And Drake will be a better quarterback next year and have a very good year.
So listen,
now numbers
Nailed
might not
it.
be the numbers. He was 2nd MVP.
Well, then it's a take that's impossible to be wrong on, because if what we're saying is he could have worse numbers, look worse. The team could be worse.
Well, look worse. I testified, so look better.
Purdy looked worse.
There's
than
an
that
idea.
in
Purdy fell back too
Year
far.
3, yeah. This year you could argue, but yeah.
Right, year 3.
I was
right. He looked worse. Numbers were worse. Team was worse. And we're still saying he's better because he's more experienced. Then there's no way for it to be wrong. But since you brought up Purdy, and I knew you would, just a reminder for the audience: Purdy's year 2 versus Drake's year 2. Very similar. Drake had the better record. Purdy had, their numbers are almost, it's 113 rating versus 113 and a half. 33-13 versus 35-11. Drake has him in completion percentage. Purdy has him in yards per attempt. Yards per game are almost, it's within 10. And then a reminder of what year 3 for Brock looked like. Now, I'm not anticipating this for Drake, but it was a precipitous and massive decline across the board.
All right, I've reached my limit with this particular discussion. I can't take much more of it. Drawing these comparisons as if they hold any real predictive weight is honestly giving me a headache. It's such a frustrating exercise. If this is the game you want to play, then let's play it properly. Let's look at Patrick Mahomes from 2018 to 2019. His touchdown total was nearly cut in half. His passer rating dropped by almost 10 points. He threw for 1,000 fewer yards. Now the question, was Patrick Mahomes a better quarterback in 2019, or was he better in 2018? We all know the answer to that. We know which version was superior. The point is, you cannot sustain those eye-popping, top-tier statistical outputs year after year without fluctuation. There is a natural ebb and flow inherent to every sport and every position. That's simply the reality of how things work. Whether you're a running back, a wide receiver, a quarterback, a shooting guard, a point guard, a pitcher, or a hitter, it doesn't matter. Performance levels rise and fall. So, this entire narrative of taking a step forward or taking a step back is always such a loaded and misleading question. In fact, I think it was Brett Coleman who framed it most accurately, pointing out that a player can actually become a better quarterback while their raw stats might look less impressive. It's about the quality of the play, not just the volume of production. I made this exact point about Drake Maye recently. I said that his deep ball percentages and those kinds of numbers probably won't be as pristine as they were in his rookie year. This all depends, of course, on what the Patriots do in free agency and the draft, but you can't just expect those elite efficiency metrics to automatically repeat. Do we expect Matthew Stafford to have another 40-touchdown season? Probably not. Does that automatically mean he's regressed or taken a step back? Of course not. No. This is why I constantly emphasize the concept of quality of play. Let's focus on that. Quality of play. It's about how you're playing, not just the final box score. You can lose a few more games as well and still be playing high-quality football. Let's not pretend that the Patriots need to win 14 or 15 games next year for Drake Maye to be considered to have progressed. By that flawed logic, for him to take a step forward, they'd have to win 16 or maybe even 17 games. Get out of here. That makes absolutely no sense. According to that same simplistic thinking, they'd have to average 30 points per game. Because if you define regression by a dip in stats, then progression must mean a massive leap forward in every single category. You'd be demanding 15-plus wins, 30-plus points per game, a 73% completion rate, 265 passing yards per game, 40 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions. Anything less than that, and the narrative becomes, oh, he's going backwards. Come on, be serious. Drake Maye is an elite quarterback. He's a high-level talent. He's going to continue to evolve and grow as a player. And here's a newsflash. That development is not going to be linear. It never is. It hasn't been linear since the beginning of time in this sport. There are going to be ups and downs, twists and turns. You have to account for variance. What if he throws for 275 yards per game and 40 touchdowns, but also has 13 interceptions and a completion percentage around 68%? Did he take a step back? Well, he had more yards and more touchdowns, but also a few more picks. His passer rating might drop to around 110. It's not a simple yes or no question. You simply cannot get too hung up on the raw numbers. That's why there's more of a flexible, almost intuitive barometer for each player. It's a standard that shifts depending on context. You want to see him consistently above 65% completions. You want to see a passer rating that reflects high-level play. I hesitate to give a specific number because we've seen guys like Mahomes and Josh Allen have seasons in the mid-90s, and I'm sure Stafford has as well. So even that metric isn't fixed. I guess you could say around 100 or higher is solid, and when you hit that 115-116 range, you can really emphasize that it was a heck of a year. You can point to a season like Mahomes throwing for 50 touchdowns and say it was an awesome, historic campaign. But that is not the standard for what it means to be great, nor is it the benchmark you need to hit every single year to prove your quality. That's not how I view it. And look at the numbers being thrown around in this comparison. It's so disingenuous. I should have said this right from the start. Brock Purdy, from day one, had a clearly and significantly better team built around him. It's undeniable. He also had the immense benefit of continuity within Kyle Shanahan's system from year 1 into year 2. It wasn't until year 3 that the entire roster around him got decimated by injuries. This is what makes these types of conversations so obnoxious. It's why I brought up Patrick Mahomes. What did his stats look like when his key players got hurt? They went down, didn't they? So, by this reductive logic, did he take a step backwards? Nick, or anyone with sense, would not say that Patrick Mahomes has regressed. He would say, well, the offensive line wasn't as good, his receivers were banged up, Travis Kelce is aging and was dealing with injuries. He would provide context. And that is the exact same context that applies to Brock Purdy. And your counter-argument can't always be, yeah, but Mahomes still won a Super Bowl. That's a different conversation. We're talking about year-to-year progression here. Are you moving forward or backward as a player? I say this constantly. We are not having legacy conversations. We're not debating who is better overall, Brock Purdy or Patrick Mahomes. That's a separate, much larger discussion. Not every conversation has to be that. But if you are unwilling to say that Patrick Mahomes regressed or went backwards statistically over the last couple of years due to his supporting cast, then you cannot say it about Brock Purdy. And you certainly cannot use that flawed logic to preemptively judge whatever might happen with Drake Maye. I, for one, think Drake Maye is going to continue to improve. But again, once you hit a certain stratospheric level of efficiency, a 113 passer rating, a 72% completion percentage, those are incredibly difficult numbers to consistently replicate year in and year out. And let's be real, no one in their right mind was going to claim that the Patriots had a stacked roster around him. They certainly didn't have a Deebo Samuel, a George Kittle, or a Christian McCaffrey. They didn't have that kind of weaponry. They didn't even have a play caller operating at his peak yet. Josh McDaniels was just coming in. Meanwhile, Shanahan had been in the rhythm of the NFL for years. His system was fully operational and rolling. Even that took time to settle. It's just a strange and reductive way to frame a player's development. I also think Drake Maye and Brock Purdy are fundamentally different types of quarterbacks. I understand the comparison on the surface, but I believe there's a difference in their ceiling and skill set. I always try to categorize players as elite, great, or good. I think Brock Purdy has the ability to perform at an elite level in certain areas, but ultimately, his consistent level of play is that of a great quarterback, and he can sometimes settle into being just a good one. Drake Maye, on the other hand, I believe has the core traits of an elite quarterback, who might sometimes have a season where he settles at being just great. It will take a bit more time to fully flesh out his trajectory, honestly. But I have a deeper, more fundamental trust that Drake Maye can continue to evolve and get better and better. I think he has more room to grow physically and in his understanding of the pro game. Remember, Brock Purdy was also older and had more collegiate snaps under his belt. Drake Maye was drafted very young. Purdy was already 23 or 24, while Maye was 21. That age difference matters. It means Maye was a raw talent to work with coming out of college. Purdy was more of a ready-made product, as he showed in year one with Shanahan, stepping in and immediately taking the reins. That was incredibly impressive, and he deserves a ton of credit for it. I'm not here to dissect Brock Purdy's entire career trajectory. I'm just saying that using him as a direct reference point for Drake Maye's potential regression or progression doesn't make any sense. Honestly, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Sometimes you can look at a previous situation as a compass, a general reference point for how things can go. But using it as concrete evidence of what will happen, that's where I have to push back. If you're going to cherry-pick Brock Purdy's statistical dip as a warning sign, then you have to apply the same logic to Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and even Tom Brady in certain years. And when you do that, the whole argument falls apart. But those are just my thoughts. I would genuinely love to hear yours. What do you all think about Drake Maye and the potential for him to take a step forward or back in his third year? Let me know. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree. Either way, let's spark some discussion, maybe even a little debate, but ultimately, let's just have some fun with it. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you be a part of it. My goal is to build something we all genuinely feel connected to, something we're truly excited to be a part of. I think we are well on our way to doing that. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.